big story. This is Congress politicizing the PM's G7 attendance. Jairam Ramesh has made a very shocking remark. He says there is a hype around a factory, quote unquote, he says, and I quote him verbatim, the hype factory around the self-styled Vishwaguru attending the G7 summit in Hiroshima in Japan has started manufacturing fake narratives. Here's the reality, he says, and I quote, summits of developed countries started way back in 1976. India was invited along with few other countries for the first time in 2003. Dr. Manmohan Singh attended G7s as well. In fact, he goes on to say, so all this drum beating serves the purpose of not only self-glorification of the great leader, but also erasing the continuity of governance and contribution of previous governments. That's the statement which has been made by Jairam Ramesh. Congress is calling PM's attendance to the G7 a mere hype. In fact, Congress has chosen to politicize the G7 summit. The Jairam Ramesh calls all the discussions which are happening around the PM's G7 visit a simple hype. Remember, the world seems to be looking at India, and at that time, the Congress has made this type of a controversial statement. Rishabh, my colleague, is joining us live on the broadcast. Rishabh, statement coming in from the side of Jairam Ramesh. PM's G7 attendance has been politicized. Take us through exactly what Jairam Ramesh had to say first of all.
So for that matter, Jairam Ramesh has hit out at the Prime Minister, saying that the glorification of his visit as a guest at G7 is being, propaganda is being created, a fake narrative is being created. He also notes down that how in 2003 India was first invited for G7 summit as a guest, and Dr. Manmohan Singh also has been part of multiple G7 plus summits, and this has been a continuous process, and this is not the first time that India is being invited for the G7 summit. So Congress clearly hitting out at Prime Minister, saying that India's invitation by Japanese Prime Minister to Narendra Modi is nothing unique or one-off incident. India has been part of G7 guest list for quite some time now. Definitely Congress now politicizing PM's Japan visit, but we also need to understand that this visit is very important because India is going to put forward its view on Russia-Ukraine war, and since the Russia-Ukraine war has begun 15 months ago, India's neutrality in the whole episode has given India a good diplomatic stature, and that's the reason that be it West or Russia, both want India in their camp. And India
many have been saying that India is best placed to play peacenik between Russia, Ukraine and the world leaders at a time when India is shining at global stages. Is it fair for Congress to criticize and politicize a Prime Minister's visit when it comes to the G7? That's of course going to be a sticking point, and we will concentrate on that as well. Rishabh, stay with us. My colleague Deepak is also joining us live on the broadcast. Deepak, take us through first of all through the tweet which has been put out by Jairam Ramesh.
Right, Meenakshi. The tweet here is put out by Jairam Ramesh. He says that the hype factory around the self-styled Vishwaguru attending the G7 summit in Hiroshima in Japan has started manufacturing fake narratives. Here's the reality. He says summits of developed countries started way back in 1976, and India was invited along with few other countries for the first time in 2003. Dr. Manmohan Singh attended such G7 plus summits regularly. So all this drum beating serves the purpose of not only self-glorification of the great leader, but also erasing the continuity of governance and contribution of previous governments. Clearly a dig that Jairam Ramesh has taken at Prime Minister Narendra Modi, calling this or his visit to Hiroshima as a bit to glorify himself.
Well, that's the criticism coming in from the side of the Congress. Congress says that Modi is usurping the G7 summit, is trying to project himself, of course, larger than the summit, and trying to take credit really for India being invited to the G7. But Rishabh, as far as the BJP is concerned, any reaction which has come from their side, the statement, I'm sure many would find it rather shocking, and it's very uncommon, isn't it, for the opposition to criticize a sitting Prime Minister when he's on an important international visit, isn't it?
Definitely. See, Prime Minister is on an important three-nation visit and will be holding around 40 meetings. But the reaction that has come in from Congress, the statement that has come in from the communications head of Congress, Jairam Ramesh, is more or less Congress's bid to feed its domestic politics. They have just won Karnataka and they want the momentum to keep going, and that's the reason such statements have come in. That's the reason that a statement from Jairam Ramesh also came last night on the new Parliament building as well, where Jairam Ramesh has hit out at Prime Minister, calling the whole new Parliament project his personal vanity. So Jairam Ramesh has been aggressively countering or attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi for quite some time now, but definitely this statement coming in from such a senior leader from Congress is in bad taste, especially when it comes to international forum, because at international forum it's not BJP's Prime Minister or NDA's Prime Minister. Narendra Modi has been representing India, and he's India's Prime Minister. He's Prime Minister for me, he's Prime Minister for you, he's Prime Minister for Jairam Ramesh, as well as every Indian citizen who represent India. So Prime Minister is representing India, and hence this statement which has come in definitely looks like in a bad taste, but BJP will definitely be reacting to it. The statement has just come in. We'll have to wait to understand what BJP's official stand would be on this.
Well, absolutely, but Jairam Ramesh calling it mere hype, in fact going on to say that there is a hype factory around the self-styled Vishwaguru attending the G7 summit. That also, as you were saying earlier, is a statement which is rather controversial, isn't it, Rishabh? Because end of the day, this invitation, the fact that India has been called as a special invitee to the G7 summit is also extremely crucial. It also shows how the world is now looking at India, how India is shining at a global forum, isn't it?
Definitely. See, diplomatically, the structure of India at different multilateral grouping has.
Okay, Rishabh, apologies, I'm interrupting you here. We have Mr. Rashid Alvi, he's representing the Congress. We also have RP Singh, he's representing the BJP with us. I'm going to start first of all with you, Mr. RP Singh. What do you have to say, sir, about Jairam Ramesh's statement? Jairam Ramesh says that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is trying to build his personal brand by attending the G7 summit. In fact, he goes on to say that there is a hype factory which is created by your party around the so-called quote-unquote self-styled Vishwaguru. What do you have to say, sir, first of all?
Well, last time when some Prime Minister of the country was called for the G7 summit was some 50 years ago, and all this period no one was called for any such event. But that's how Congress party is. I mean, Congress party doesn't want India to be seen as an international platform and India to be acknowledged as an international platform. And that's why they keep doing this again and again. And they keep trying to puncture the image of the country abroad, whether it was Rahul Gandhi even traveling abroad and then demeaning the Indian judiciary and Indian democracy. And now whether when the Prime Minister is visiting G7, has gone for G7, they are again trying to raise issues about it and then trying to become a political narrative instead of a diplomatic narrative.
I take your point, sir. Let me also ask, take a counter from Mr. Rashid Alvi. Mr. Rashid Alvi, what do you have to say? The BJP says that by criticizing the Prime Minister's G7 summit, saying that, that it's a way to sort of increase his personal brand, you are harming the interest of the country. How do you react to this criticism coming your way, sir?
Actually, Prime Minister is very much interested to attend such kind of summit just to he thinks that he is leading the whole of world. What India will get out of it? It is nothing but wastage of money. It is wastage of time. And it is
G7 is a wastage of money. What about Manmohan Singh and others who went to G7? How can you say that the Prime Minister going to G7 is a wastage of money, sir? Are you genuinely saying that the PM should not go to G7 summit even if he's invited as a special guest?
Because he attends the meeting, then BJP start to make propaganda. He is leading the world. He is Vishwaguru and all that nonsense. And while the fact is that his image is not good at all at international level. I do not know whether you remember it or not. Foreign Ministry of United States very specifically said when some media person asked, how did you allow Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia? He is responsible for the murder of Khashoggi. Then he replied,
what's the
It has happened already. Listen to me. We have allowed earlier.
But sir, what's the link between Khashoggi's murder and the PM being invited to G7? That's beyond me. But let's take a counter from BJP as well. RB Singh, you heard what Rashid Alvi had to say. Wastage of money, a way to sort of glorify Prime Minister Narendra Modi. BJP makes propaganda out of these visits. What do you have to say, sir?
मुझे लगता है राशिद अलवी साहब की उम्र हो गई है वो he is not speaking sense at all. I mean he is trying to compare what happened with America and the United Arab.
Okay.
It's shocking that he is trying to make some.
Okay, you say these statements are shocking as far as the Congress is concerned. They're sticking to their guns. For now, I thank you both for joining us on Times Now. With that, we'll slip into a short commercial break. News in a